welcome to my kitchen. My name is Lisa Boson, and this is part of the It's Your Season Life series. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we are privy to some of the most gorgeous vegetables ever. So tonight we're going to use the local bok choy to use in the Balinese tofu curry sauce. Super easy, dried spices, onions, some garlic, and some coconut curry and some other things to make it super simple. So let's get started. Let's get cooking. So one of the first things that we're going to do with this dish is take 2 tablespoons of, I'll turn my light on, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of coriander, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and that we're going to use these 3 ingredients a couple times in this dish. So what we're going to do is just put them in this tofu. This is a ½ pound of tofu that is it's been pressed and drained, and so we're just going to let it absorb the cornstarch and the spices. So this will be the first layer of flavor that we're going to use. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to stir fry cook the tofu very quickly. We've let the tofu sit about 15 minutes. And so what we'll do is we'll add just a little bit, not a lot, of the oil around the sides. So about the time that it drizzles down the side of the pan, it's hot. I learned that the other day. I thought that was pretty cool. So we're just going to do these in batches, and normally I can do these in about 2 batches. So I'll be a little bit, I'm going to use my hands. See, I can do this since I'm at home. And we're just going to gently toast these. So the rest of the ingredients we're going to be using are aromatics and coconut milk, some broth, some cashew milk actually, so that we don't have to use quite so much coconut milk, but I guess it really doesn't matter. You're going to get your fat from someplace, and your thickness and your taste. So I kind of like these squeeze bottles to do the oil with, and that way I can really watch how much I'm using. I do have an induction cooktop. I tell people this, so that if by chance you see me do things with on my cooktop that might be flammable otherwise, I'm lucky in that I do have this induction cooktop. So we're going to just let this toast up. This is going to make a beautiful yellow sauce. I'm trying not to deep fry these. We're really trying to watch our oil in our diet, but there will be plenty of other oils in this, from the fat in the coconut milk and a little fat in the cashew cream, but we're going to use the cornstarch will help thicken this dish up very nicely. Isn't that beautiful? So we'll cook these out, put the last batch in. I'm also not using a whole lot of salt because there will be salt in the broth, and once again we're trying to watch our salt. So although I suppose you could, if you wanted to, add salt at every level of the dish, we're just really trying to watch our salt and try to watch more of our fat intake. So I'm just using it sparingly. Tofu is pretty bland. Maybe in your kitchen you'll shake that off a little bit better, but actually all that nice crumb at the bottom will help thicken our sauce as well. I like a really nice crispy tofu. Let's see how nice and brown they're getting. Some flecks of little darker. I'm trying to keep it brown. These will go in at the very end of the dish. This took about, I do it about just about 2 or 3 minutes for each pack of tofu. You might want them a little crispier. That's cool. You know, cooking is about what you like and what your flavor taste buds like. You have 10,000 taste buds, so what you're doing, what you like, may not be my thing, and vice versa. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add in half of an onion that's been fairly thinly sliced. And let these soften up really nice. This is one dish because it does come together pretty quickly before you go into the simmer stage. Is to have all your ingredients ready to go. It just makes it a lot easier. Prepping. So if you're doing any good plant-based cooking, I'm going to put just a little bit of salt because I want them to loosen up just a little bit. You're always going to have broth, either frozen or in a bouillon cube or a container. So you're always going to have some kind of vegetarian broth. I like I'm not getting paid for this, be better than bouillon vegetable broth, actually. That's just super tasty. It's chicken broth. It's a vegetable broth that somehow they got to taste like chicken. It's pretty cool. So we're going to push these to the side just a little bit. We're going to put the turmeric, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of ginger, and 1 teaspoon of coriander. So those were the same 3 ingredients we used. I'll let those off. Now I like using fresh ginger, but you know, it does take time to do, and that's why I kind of like this recipe. I'm going to turn down my heat just a little bit because it's all used with ground spices, and there's nothing wrong with using ground spices, especially during the weekday. So what I had to cut up for this dish was the tofu I'd done a couple days ago and let it sit in the fridge. The onions, the garlic, and the bok choy that's coming up. So I'm going to use actually 2 different kinds of broth, but you can use whatever kind of, you can use vegetable broth. You can use, if you're, you know, part vegan, you can use chicken broth. I'm going to actually use up a little bit of saffron broth that I had from another project. I love saffron. So see how beautiful this is just going to be? So it's just going to be lovely. We're going to add in, maybe a 1/4 cup to start of coconut milk. Okay, I'll turn my heat back up. And then I'm going to use just a couple tablespoons of cashew milk. Now I like a cashew cream. I keep this in the fridge and bring it out when I need to thicken something and have a neutral flavor. I think that's the other important part. I love coconut milk, so I thought this was a nice combination of kind of using a little of both worlds. So hopefully there's a little bit of cornstarch left over. And so now what we're going to add in is 2 bay leaves and a ghost pepper. Now the original recipe calls for a jalapeno that you chop up and you saute in with the garlic, but gosh, I don't know what happened to the jalapeno. I thought I had one and I didn't. So we're just going to improvise with spices. That's not a hard thing to do. Just choose your weapon. This is some kind of a ghost pepper from a friend of mine. That's a cayenne jalapeno powder. So, you know, we like spice in our neck of the woods. We're good with that. So I'm just going to add some jalapeno powder. But I really did like the crispiness and the bite of having the jalapeno. And so we're just going to let this simmer for a while. I'm going to taste it, see how we're doing here. Quite lovely. Isn't that beautiful? It kind of reminds me of, there's a Thai soup that looks like this. The onions have softened up very nicely, very nice caramelization on them. So now we're just going to put I'm just going to let the bok choy wilt. I really wanted it to be a little cooked without being too limp, because we're only going to let this sit about 10 more minutes. So, and I don't want to be moving things in and out. We got a little more mixed coconut. So I'm going to say we used maybe 1/3 of a cup at best. Okay, so now I'm going to put the tofu in. Just let the sauce cover a little bit, and we will be ready to eat. Isn't that just gorgeous? I always say sometimes some of these dishes, like you could have this like as a takeout, but you can make it at home. Super easy, have leftovers, it's great. So what we're going to serve this with is, so I didn't have any brown rice, but any good plant-based, plant-rich household will have some kind of frozen, ready-to-go grain. So this is farro, bulgur, and barley. So we're going to use that as our base instead of brown rice. It has a little bit of chopped celery in it, chopped cilantro. And then it also has garlic scapes are popular right now. A friend of mine gave me 2 full bags of garlic scapes. So I thought the garlic, little bits of garlic would be a nice little flavor add and texture to the farro, the barley, and the bulgur. The spinning wok. Anyway, wow, can I make a mess? Let me fix that. So really a beautiful dish. Maybe the brown rice, this rice is not quite a compliment, but it is nutritious, so it may not be in the color wheel. White rice would certainly be more beautiful, or even just brown rice, but it works. It's going to be nutritious. We will get our protein and our grains, and we'll get the beautiful bok choy that was grown locally. And yeah, thanks for joining me. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you learned a new technique on how to make a really quick, interesting weekday curry using coconut milk, tofu, and bok choy. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thanks for joining me. Be sure and like and subscribe so you can look at the other ones, and also check out the new ones that are coming your way. And join me, like them on the other social media channels as well. And I look forward to, actually the next one should be how to cut up tofu and get it ready so you have it ready to go. Can't believe I am talking about tofu. But anyway, it's been great. Have a great day and enjoy this wonderful dish.